Voilà, on va aller faire un détour par les États-Unis avec, nous avons enregistré il y a 2 jours Kerry. Alors le nom vous dit sans doute quelque chose et pour cause c'est le frère de John Kerry en service prison, mais il a un sacré parcours lui aussi. Il a été ministre du commerce du gouvernement Obama. Aujourd'hui, il est l'un des piliers de la Brookings Institute. C'est un think tank sur les datas, sur tout l'univers Internet et justement il va nous parler de quelle protection pour les citoyens face aux GAFA. Vous savez que ce qui est chez nous aux États-Unis, c'est en train de prendre un peu d'ampleur, hein, tous les reproches faits aux GAFA autour de la data. Et puis vous allez voir son regard aussi sur, je ferai en parler à l'instant, notre position, l'Europe, entre la Chine et les États-Unis. Est-ce qu'il nous repère déjà dans cet univers numérique? Voilà, je vous propose d'écouter ensemble Kerry.
Well, there certainly has been a very distinct change in the 10 years plus since I joined the Obama administration. I think that comes about from several things. I think there's a much greater appreciation of the extent of surveillance that digital technology enables, and that's a result of the Snowden affair, of Cambridge Analytica, of many data breaches, and I think a growing awareness of the extraordinary ecosystem of information collection and sharing, and that I think on both the left and the right and across society raises concerns. And certainly, I've seen in my efforts to pass data privacy legislation in the United States a sea change in the willingness to say we need rules, that the ethic of move fast and break things that was a Facebook motto and part of the ethic of Silicon Valley, the notion of permissionless innovation has allowed companies to set the rules for themselves. And I think there's a recognition that that is not working, and particularly that has enabled enormous economic power of platforms like Facebook, like Google, enormous social power that has an impact on our democracies. And I think, while the reality is that the collection of data is so fast that even the GAFA is a small portion of the total data that is generated and collected in the world. But that data in social networks and in communications contributes to network effects. And, for years, people have talked about big data in terms of 3 V's: velocity, volume, and variety. And all of that contributes to the echo effect, the proliferation of misinformation, of hate speech, of other impacts. So I think we are seeing today a convergence. I mentioned the Trade and Technology Council. There are a number of working groups that are looking at issues like competition, like dealing with misinformation and other content. And I think particularly in competition, we are seeing, I think, a great deal of convergence between existing enforcement in the European Union and enforcement that is underway in cases and in a new attitude in our Federal Trade Commission and other competition regulators. I think differences in approaches to content will still be an issue, but the Digital Services Act, I think, has tried to leave room for free expression. So I think that is a model that has potential in the United States as well. So I think there is the opportunity with this change in attitude to get more convergence.
Okay, which actually raises another question. We'll leave the transatlantic area for a while, go trans-Pacific. And how do democracies like yours, like ours, other democracies in Europe, can prevent autocracies from using the web for the worst? And do you have a recipe for that?
Mm-hmm. Look, I think it's an important challenge. Dealing with China on issues of trade and anti-corruption and government transparency was part of my portfolio when I was at the Commerce Department. And I have tremendous respect for what China has accomplished in terms of its development, in terms of elevating hundreds of millions of people out of poverty. But the trajectory that I've seen with China really since the time that I left the government, I mean, Xi Jinping had just come into power. And I'm seeing things like anti-corruption used as a tool to punish political opponents. The barriers to trade have only increased instead of relaxed, and this is a problem for European companies as well. And I think particularly the enormous growth of techno-authoritarianism, of the deployment of technologies of surveillance for political and for social control. And that's become an export. They are selling that to selling those technologies to other authoritarian governments. And we're seeing an increasingly aggressive China projecting that on Hong Kong, and pushing the boundaries in the South China Sea, and using the so-called wolf warrior diplomacy around the world. So I think the democratic countries need to be very clear-eyed about this. I think we need to find cooperation with China, as we were able to do on some level in the COP26 agreement, and at least continuing to cooperate on those issues where China had taken the position that we can't deal with the climate issues without other issues. But we have to be very clear-eyed about the standards, and I think work together. We may end up with sort of two systems, but let it be only two systems and not many systems.
Voilà, c'était notre première séquence un peu lointaine. C'était un entretien mené, j'avais oublié de le préciser, par Jean-François Boitin qui dirige le bureau du MEDEF aux États-Unis. Donc vous avez pu voir un peu, notamment moi ce qui m'a surpris, c'est le positionnement où il nous mettait l'Europe entre la Chine et les États-Unis. Alors on va rentrer dans le vif du débat tout de suite. On va assister dans quelques instants à notre première table ronde, la tête dans la toile, le corps dans sa bulle, l'humanité se met-elle en danger? C'est tout de suite.